Hello, you legends. We're rolling out. It's cold. It's like 7 Celsius, and there's rain. It's drizzling right now. I don't know if you can see the drops on the ground, but we're ready. We're rolling out. We're doing our own thing because the rest of the guys in the area are either not riding, or even if they do, they don't have mud guards. You don't want to be cold and wet, because without mud guards, your bum and your back will be wet. Bad idea. So we got our rain jacket and everything. We got shadow. We got our feet sealed. Let's do this, my brother. All right. Let's go.
It is the equipment that keeps people from riding in varying weather conditions. You can't let the rain stop you.
If you're focused, you get the right equipment. There is no bad weather, just poor equipment.
I will be doing a series of suggestive videos on critical areas to pay attention to in your kit for the different times of the year. Because whether it's hot, cold, whatever, if you don't have the right stuff, you're not going to enjoy it.
So yeah, it's nice and crispy this morning. Feels good. Yeah, it feels very good. So 45 degrees Fahrenheit is about 7 Celsius. We're rolling out. So when we get out into Magnolia, it's going to feel like 3 Celsius.
We're wearing our shadow jacket from Rafa. Windproof, waterproof, lightweight, very packable.
So it should be interesting. We'll get some clips for you all.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. It was kind of damp. We left a little after 7. We took the bike path up to Sterling Ridge Drive, went up on Branch Crossing. All of that's on film. We got to 1488. That's all film. We rode Mount Mariah 149, all film. Jackson Road. It was cold, damp, dreary, cloudy, you name it. Once we got past Dobbins, we started to film Mount Mariah Road all the way 1486 into Dacus. We filmed Johnson Road there all the way to 149. Then we turned off the camera. Well, the camera kind of ran out of juice because when it's cold and damp, the battery lifespan is a little different. But I think we got enough to kind of keep things interesting. It was a day where you needed to break out the heavy stuff. You know, wet and cold, it feels colder than the temperature says. And I'm going to start a video series soon that talks about kitting out for the different times of the year. Because it's not the weather that prevents you from going. It's not having the proper equipment.
All right, you legends. We're right at Flintridge, getting off the bike path. We used it to get out here. Claire left, my brother. Claire right. So we're gonna go ahead and get a little bit of clips for you. It's cold and it's wet. There's a combination you gotta be prepared for. You can't mess around.
Flintridge Drive in Kirkendall, in the Woodlands, Texas.
All right, my brother. Okay, let's get out there. Heading towards the open road.
We're headed north towards Woodlands Parkway. It feels colder than 7 Celsius because we have a lot of moisture. It's raining on and off in little scattered drizzles, I'll call it. Just enough to get the roads messy. And thus we have our mud guards on, because that's another critical piece riders leave off. And if your bum is wet and it's cold, yeah, you can figure out what's going to be happening. You're not going to be happy. We're wearing very robust, deep winter overshoes made out of neoprene. The brand is Rafa. Then we have a sleeve on the cuff, because the cuff never fits your ankle. And that sleeve prevents any moisture from running down your leg. And then the tights are over that. The sleeve can be worn throughout the year. But that's one of the weak points with overshoes, is that ankle area is never quite waterproof. The ironic thing is we we dressed for torrential rain, and it just drizzled in spots that we weren't even on. So we'd get there and it had already rained. Look at the pavement. You can tell it's rained. You can see splotches and blotches of dry on the pavement, but all this section here is wet. And when you have drizzle like that, it just mixes with the grime and the dirt on the road, and that's what gets you dirty with that little rooster tail on your back or in your face if you're following a rider that has no mud guards on the back on the bicycle. So we don't ride with any riders that are not protected, meaning we're not going to follow anybody that has no mud guards. Even if we start in the dry with them, and then during the ride the rain comes down, and we happen to, let's say, not have mud guards, I prefer to ride alone. I don't want anybody spraying me with dirty water. It's bad enough you'll be spraying yourself on the rear, but why get your face and your jersey all filthy as well because you want to follow somebody in the rain? You're not competing for anything. So we don't follow people in the wet. When there's a chance of rain, I just slap on the mud guards. It takes a whopping 15 seconds to do. And that keeps me unconcerned about what the rain will be doing. And then, of course, we got a full rain jacket, which is packable and breathable. So we can wear this all year long in all temperature ranges. And it's comfortable. It has a double zip, breathable, and it has a double zip so you can control access to the rear pockets from up or down, and also ventilate yourself as needed. So those are the pieces I will be running a series of videos on, just kind of laying out what you need to look for if you want to be able to venture out regardless of what the weather is doing. Because we can't control what the weather does, and you've got to be consistent in your training to meet your goals, whatever they may be. So yeah, you have to get the necessary pieces of kit for all times of the year, not just winter. In the summer, you can't wear winter stuff. If that's all you have, then you have to get some lightweight stuff because you will heat up. That's the thing. So the theme will be for all seasons what you need to look for your kit. So I'll probably title one Winter Kit. Winter Kit, critical elements, spring, fall, summer, whatever. I'll do something like that. I still haven't come up with the actual title yet, but that's what will be coming out because I think it will help people to help them know what to get, what to spend your money on if you want to be able to venture out regardless of what the weather's doing. I moved over there to push the crosswalk button, which will enable this light to change because at this point we have no vehicle behind us. What I was telling Paul is that I'm glad that we did not get the shadow jacket in black, because then we would be all black. On a day like this, even with the lights on the back, on a cloudy day, it's still not the best color to wear. Be like a shadow on the road. So you want to pick your kit accordingly based on what the weather. You want to wear all black, do it on a sunny day. So with this ultramarine jacket, you can see how it pops.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you push that, then you get those numbers. Like a pedestrian.
What I was telling him is that by pushing that button, we got like a 30-second countdown at the corner. You only get that countdown when that button is pushed. If you don't, the light is shorter.
So we are dressed for the cold and the wet.
So I'll be talking about what pieces of kit in terms of the kind of hat to wear. If you're going out in torrential rain, you don't want your head to be wet when it's cold. In the summer, it's not that big a deal. But this time of year, you got to keep yourself dry. So you got to have the right equipment, and it doesn't have to cause you to boil either. A lot of the helmet covers, they don't breathe. That's another problem. So I prefer to wear a breathable cap like the one you see here now, but I've got other ones that will be showcasing as I do the different videos on the kits that you need to wear at different times of the year and the critical elements to consider. I think it will be very helpful. I'm going to do it for the archives, so we have that on the channel. So I made a video last week. I'm laughing because
when it says stop, they roll.
Yeah, I'm talking about the driver up there. There's a yield sign and he stopped. And at the stop sign, they keep going. So that's a driver who doesn't understand what yield means. The yield means you yield to oncoming traffic. When there's no oncoming traffic, you don't need to stop. It's not a stop sign. Yield means give up the right of way. There was no one to give up the right of way to, but he came to a complete stop, like it were a stop sign. So other road users will not expect that, and you can have some challenges. If they expect you to not stop, you can get a rear end collision there. So all those things are important. Details matter in all walks of life if you want to excel. So what I was talking about was that I made a video about the AccessoriesOutdoors gloves that I was very enamored by. And then the guy came on the channel. When I make these videos, I don't put prices on there because it doesn't really matter. I'm focusing on the function, and then you can go look up the price and see if this is something you want to invest in. You know, that's your personal call. But when he came back, he said $125. I don't know where he found that price from. $125, I'm not rich. And so I just laughed. I ended up removing the comment because it had nothing to do with what I'm trying to communicate. I'm trying to communicate the quality of these products. You have to decide if it's important enough to you to make the necessary investment, whatever it may be, for what the quality brings, the value of that quality. You pay for quality. You know, just because something is cheap doesn't make it good. And most cheap things are not good. And they're not that good. You know, so you end up buying 3 or 4 of them because they either don't wear long enough, they don't do the job. You still end up spending close to the amount of money you would have spent if you had just done a little bit of research and with a little patience and gotten the top quality stuff, and then you're done. The AccessoriesOutdoors stuff lasts for years. So whatever you pay for them, you will get the return. And $125 to buy something, you don't need to be rich in this part of the world to get $125. You just need to give up something else, maybe a night at the club or whatever else it is you're into. Or, you know, we assume you have a job or something that brings in income. You save up and you get it. You don't have to get everything now. So I just remove his comment because to imply that you have to be rich to wear AccessoriesOutdoors implies that you have to be rich to wear gloves. There are all kinds of gloves out there, even made by other vendors as well as AccessoriesOutdoors. They have different price points. The glove I was talking about was about a certain temperature range that I felt that if you're going to ride in that temperature range, this is the glove to spend the money on. Deep winter stuff. You know, if you live in Canada, and I'm using it for an example, we stopped for a car that's on the left, but then the light changes for the left turn on that side, so we turn right. We can turn right on red in Texas. A lot of states have that. So what I was saying was that AccessoriesOutdoors makes different winter jackets depending on where you live. They make different gloves depending on where you live. And some of these gloves you may have to get liners to even go deeper. So if you live in Canada, you're not going to be wearing this lightweight jacket we're wearing here if it's minus 20 below or something like that and you want to go out there. You'd probably be wearing the AccessoriesOutdoors has a jacket for very cold temperatures. I think they call it a jod. Let me see if I can get the name here because they really there's a point that I'm trying to make because I don't want this channel to seem like it's elitist or exclusive. No, it's for everybody. But people need to understand that what I do here is a process. It is not about the specific thing I'm talking about. It is about giving you information so you can take the basic thing that I'm giving in these videos and then invest your time and build on it and do your own additional research. So for example, I don't live in Canada. We don't get minus 20 regularly. We don't get minus 8, and I'm talking Celsius here, okay? We don't get minus 8 Celsius usually. Our temperatures are usually like you see here, 7C. It might even get down to 0 maybe, but it doesn't even stay there long enough. Based on these temperatures, I would not buy the Assos Equipe. They have an Equipe RS winter jacket called the Jodah, Johdah. I would not buy. It's a $725 retail jacket. I would not buy that. It would be too much jacket for my region. It would be too warm. So why spend that kind of money? But if I were living in Toronto or Alberta, Canada, or somewhere, and I wanted to cycle outside versus just being stuck on a trainer, then throughout the year, I would save my little coins and get that jacket. That's the point I'm trying to make. So when he came and said he's not rich, $125, it just, I removed the comment because it was like, he missed the whole thing. You know, this is North America. This is the West. A lot of people, you see all these guys driving around in cars. They didn't buy them cash. Not all of them anyway. They go and they put a little down payment, they make payments on them, whatever. They make do. They make sacrifices to get the things they want. You know, that's what it's about. And you have to look at these kind of things as an investment. It's an investment in your health. What is $125 for your health? How much would you pay a doctor if you sat down and got obese and had coronary disease? Exactly. That's my point. So I don't talk about price here. I bring the products. I tell you about their function. And then you have to decide, do I want to invest in this product or do I want to look for something that gives me something similar? Not necessarily made by Assos or Rafa or Castelli, all of that. In fact, the very same video, there was another gentleman who said the Castelli Extremo is very warm as well. And so I replied to his comment and said, thank you. Thanks for that information. Thanks for sharing. That's what it's about. Nobody's telling you to go buy Assos. What I'm telling you is Assos made a particular glove that lets you feel the bars really well. It handles certain temperature ranges. So if you're interested in those features and you don't want to look any further, then you buy the Assos. If you want to look for those features in another vendor, be my guest. It is not possible for this channel to test every glove that's out there. So what is sent in or what we have access to that we're excited about, we share it with the members on the channel, the subscribers on the channel. That's what it's about. That's what I've been harping about. And the reason I'm talking about it is right now, today, I'm wearing the Sportful gloves that share similar characteristics and it's in the same price range. So really, if you want those features, from my experience, you're gonna have to pay something for it. So you don't wait till, oh, it's cold now, I gotta buy gloves. Invest a little effort and save up some money to get that. Everybody does that. Everybody makes sacrifices for the things they really want. You know, you got a big date coming up or something. Let's say you're in high school or college or whatever. You save up money so you can splurge on your date or whatever. You're not going to be doing that every day. We're not going to be buying $125 gloves every week of the year. So you get a pair. It's going to last you for years. You'll get your money out of it. You'll be comfortable out there. You'll be able to ride. You'll be fit. You'll be able to accomplish your goals, whatever they may be. That's what it's about. And that's the reason I removed that comment. I didn't want him discouraging other people who think like that. I want people to get the things they need to help them accomplish their goals, because invest in yourself. That's why you put up with some of the crappy jobs we hate to make money. Spend it on you. Don't just pay bills. So the gentleman who came and said the Castelli Extremo is quite warm as well, my reply was, good to know. Somebody's going to benefit from that. Not everybody may like Assos. Somebody may like Castelli. And now here it is, because of that video and And this person, his name was Imperceptible, the guy who left a comment about Castelli Estremo being warm. So Imperceptible brought information that may benefit someone else. They might go check out the Extremo because it might be like, maybe let me see what the price comparison is. But chances are it's in the same range. These guys are not reinventing the wheel. They use similar breathable products, and for a certain warmth, there are certain textiles that will do that. So for the top stuff, you're gonna have to invest. You're not gonna pay $20 for a pair of gloves that's going to breathe well and keep you warm, and you feel the bars, resist rain, all of that. It's not gonna happen. It doesn't work like that in this world. You gotta save a little something and buy the good stuff every now and then and treat yourself. Because your feet, your hands, your head, your extremities, that's the stuff that determines how long you're gonna stay out there. It was important for me to impart that because that's what this channel is about. When I started cycling, I didn't have this information. We used to struggle. Back in the day, we had plastic. Literally, they took a clear plastic thing and made a jacket. It was made by Castelli, in fact. And they had a couple of vents on the side, but it was plastic. It wasn't very breathable, but it kept you dry if you were in a pinch. So at this point, we are in far north Montgomery County. We are at 105 and Mount Mariah Road, headed north. It is cold. It says 10 Celsius. It feels like 5 Celsius. It feels like 38, 39. We've just finished repairing, well, not repairing, basically offsetting a broken spoke on Paul's rear wheel to keep the wheel aligned so we can finish the ride. The rear wheel broke a spoke early in the ride. We thought the noise was something else, but it's such a solid wheel, it held together, so we didn't find out till we got maybe a kilometer from where we started filming here. But we've already offset the 2 nearby spokes. The wheel looks true, and you will hear me comment about it throughout the ride here. Yeah, that's the concrete on the pavement here. Those trucks that carry concrete and drop concrete on these asphalt roads. And that's what Paul says. You hit those things like that when you're not expecting them, whether in your car or whatever, but they ruin the road. Just drop a blob of concrete, it hardens, and it's there permanently. So we're headed north on Mount Mariah to 1486. We're gonna take Johnson to Bailey Grove. And we went ahead, we decided we're gonna film this stretch. But it's very important. The only reason, you can see, it's 3 hours into this ride, and it may say 10 Celsius. We never got that warm. It never felt that warm. There's moisture. You see water on the road in different spots. It's been raining here. So there's moisture in the air, which makes it feel even colder. So it's one of those days, it's hard to stay motivated to remain out there.
Right.
So we want to keep moving. We're building our base here. We're wrapping it up. This is the end of November. Starting December, we're going to start nudging things up. So this was our final week of really doing the long, steady distance stuff that much. We're going to, still going to be there, but it's not going to be the primary focus anymore. We're going to start edging things up a bit. So we wanted to get out today regardless of the pace and just get outside for a long ride. You're hearing these dogs barking. There's a lot of loose dogs. I told him to get off the road. That one right there. He got off the road. He listened. He's on the right there. They just got their dogs loose, and they're not supposed to have them loose. Responsible owners either have a fence or they have the dog tied. He was chasing a truck. That's how they get killed. And we have this neighborhood app that kind of keeps you abreast of what's going in your neighborhood. So people post happenings and things they're giving away. It's called Next Door Neighborhood. And I don't know if it's everywhere, but we have it here. It's very convenient to have. But people are always posting that dogs are missing and this and yada, yada. And Paul and I joke about it, but I tell him, I say, these dogs can find their way home. They're not missing. Maybe the dogs are leaving because they're trying to upgrade the situation. Maybe you're not feeding them, you're not taking good care of them, or you got them in a crowded backyard. He wants some room. He wants to change the scenery. Dogs don't get missing unless somebody picked them up and steal them. The little dogs, but some of the dogs, they put them a dog's missing. I said, they're not missing. He's looking for a new home. Because people will find them and say, oh, this guy came on my porch and I fed him, and is anybody missing a dog? And you don't get a response. Well, the dog, it's worked out for the dog. You know, he was looking for a situation that was better than what he was in. You know, dogs have like, you know, the ability to sniff. They can mark their territory as they travel. So I don't believe they're missing. They're leaving. They don't like where they are. You know, there are some dogs that are stolen, you know, the little ones.
Yep.
Yeah, I told him to come up so I could look at his wheel because we had just fixed the nearby spokes.
I'm how good that wheel
It
looks.
is straight,
Yeah,
yeah.
my brother. I'm not playing.
We replaced the spoke when we got back
I
home.
didn't move the brakes to one side, and I shouldn't have bothered.
I had moved the brakes
what I mean?
over to one side
I moved
because
over to the
I was
right.
hoping that we didn't have to even
shouldn't have
bother
bothered
the
because
nearby
it's
spokes, but we had to. So we're going to stop in a little bit for me to straighten
I don't see it
the
either.
brake caliper.
So, we're gonna move the brakes over when we stop. In fact,
because
let's
I
stop
had
and do
moved
it
them
right here.
over thinking that would be enough to
right
let
here.
us finish the ride, but no, the spoke had too, the wheel had too much of a play.
I had moved it over before we adjusted the spoke.
So we stop here, and I'm going to give Paul the
The whole
camera
caliper.
so I can adjust the brakes. Just straighten the brake. That's what's great about our rim brakes. I don't need to fiddle with it too long. I just move the whole unit by hand.
Yeah, just turn the camera.
That's what I love about these. They're like Timex. See that?
Okay, hit
You
your
try that with disc brakes? Nah, you're going to be fiddling with it for a few minutes. And I'm being diplomatic by saying a few.
Yep, let's go.
We're done. Rim brakes, just moved it over. I can see it. The whole unit moved. Disc brakes, you can't do that because they're screwed in top and bottom. And if you try to do that by hand without the proper tool, it will take you a bit of time.
Nice
Sometimes up to
center.
30 minutes
Yeah,
if
nice
you're trying to
center.
do it manually.
And the rim is bone straight.
Yeah, Paul told me, he
So
said, I
when
don't
we
even
place
feel
that
like
spoke,
there's a wobble. And I
I'm
said,
gonna
no,
bring it
there's
up
none.
in tension just enough.
Just a lateral
So our back up
lateral
goes down a
adjustments.
little bit,
That's
but
all
you'll
we
have the
did.
same. Yeah, it looks good.
So when you break a spoke, if you know what you're doing, you just adjust the two nearby spokes and
even
you
look
can
like you
continue
broke
with
the
your ride. So
spoke,
I wrapped the spoke around, the
good.
broken one around
You're not
the
dreaming.
nearby
That's why you don't
spoke so
feel
it's not
anything. It looks good.
clattering in the rim.
Yeah, Paul broke a spoke and we had to adjust the surrounding one, and it just looked dead straight. So
I do that often enough to where I can just
have a feeling
eyeball
that
it
they
and
have
do it. It
used
take
a
us
spoke
long.
That was too short. That's what I suspect. Because the spoke
Different
itself
things
was
can
strong.
cause your spokes to break. It can be from fatigue, incorrect
Some
length,
of them on this wheel that was
incorrect
too
tension.
short.
Yeah,
They just bought whatever they had in the shop. You know what I mean?
I believe the spoke that broke was too short for that spot. When we're taking it out, it had this
So
long
what you feeling
treaded
is
portion
real.
at the top.
It's as
Had
if
excessive
nothing happened.
treading.
Looks good. And I just hooked it around.
In a little bit, there will be a dog chasing us. You hear me yell at the dog because by yelling at the dog, he just comes out of nowhere. He's on our rear wheel. We ride away from him, but I yell at him to freeze him, and that worked.
Came in handy.
And he came when there was a truck behind us.
See?
Right here. Right there. So I yell at him so he can freeze, and that worked. And there was a truck coming up. The truck will pass. The truck driver saw him. He was fortunate. The truck is going to pass in a little bit. So this guy was coming up, and that truck was coming up when that dog ran out. That's the stuff I talk about. It's like,
hit by a car.
yeah, that car could have hit that
Poor
dog, or he could have caused one of us to fall. You guys have seen it. Dave fell. So I try to keep the dogs behind me. If they get in front of me, I stop. And there is another dog on Bailey Grove. He's more of a coward than anything. Every time I stop, he takes off and runs into his yard. I was like, yeah, come mess with me, because when you run away from him, then he chases you. And I got tired one day. I just decided to stop. I'm like, okay, what do you want? He took off. Like, what is the deal here? Why are you hassling us? He took off and ran back in his yard. I said, yeah, you better go. You know, I grew up with dogs. I grew up with animals. I'm pretty familiar with them. That's why I don't own one today. They need a lot of care. It's another member of your family.
Because
Don't just get a dog and tie him in the backyard. That's a crappy life for a dog.
So I think they're happy there. That pop wasn't breaking.
Yeah, what I was telling Paul is early in the ride we heard a snap when we were leaving, and we thought, well, maybe his chain slipped or whatever. So
the dogs are inside in this yard.
yeah, there are 3 dogs in this yard. It's fenced in, so they usually run up to the fence.
It's too cold for them.
But it's too cold. They're not out. They're like, forget it. It's saying 9 Celsius. It's colder than that. I would say it's around 4 Celsius. It feels colder than that. This is what the air temperature is, but that moisture that we have down here, high humidity, we've had rain.
8.5, 9 Celsius.
Yeah. It's been raining.
6 Celsius.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling Paul. It feels like 6.
Cold.
So it's like 35, 36 degrees Fahrenheit is what it feels like. And with the moisture, it just cuts through everything you're wearing. So if you're not dressed properly, yeah. So we've got heavy stuff on, you know, not for below 0 temperature, but the stuff we're wearing will take us close to freezing in comfort. So you've got to get the garments for the area you live in and the kind of temperatures you want to venture out in. And if you're going to venture out near freezing, pay attention to any water on the road that may have frozen over. You don't want to ride into ice. You can slip and slide. So if you're riding near freezing, even on a clear day, make sure there's no running water that has come over the road that may be frozen. That's the key.
Mariah Road.
You can see we got wet, dry. So there's a lot of rain that has occurred before we got here. And then the preceding days to this ride, it rained in the area. So we've got high humidity, and that combination, yeah, it feels colder than in other places. Places like Colorado, if it's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit, it feels much warmer than our 40 degrees here. So when you go out in the cold, don't feel like you got to kill yourself. Just you getting out there to stay loose for the most part, just to stay consistent. So we're not concerned about effort so much. We're riding at a conversational pace because that's consistent with our goal.
Let the weather stop you, no matter what.
The weather will not stop you. It's a lack of equipment that will. So if you want to venture out, you got to prepare, because chance does favor the prepared mind. Got a plan. Get the pieces that you need. And those things, you don't need to buy them all the time. You're not buying them every season. Buy the top quality stuff because they will last for multiple seasons. And you will enjoy wearing them. You will look forward to reaching for them. There are additional pieces that are coming to the channel I'll be doing some review on. We've got the Rafa deep winter overshoes that I'm wearing here. There is another one coming from ASOS, which is their comparable. They call it the Ultras winter booty. And although those things resist water, all of them have the weakness of where it meets your upper leg, your calf. There is no way they can fit every calf. And so that's why we use a sleeve of neoprene that keeps the water from going inside the top of that. So we're on this ride, we're ready for rain. And there will be other pieces of kit that I will be introducing that just will expose people to it, and just so you know it's out there. We're talking about the driver that went by. He had to brake after he passed us in that corner up the hill. He was carrying too much speed. I was telling Paul, I said, you mess up and hit a tree out here, you're gonna be there for a while. There's nobody coming out here. That's why we come out here. There's nothing out here. Get a car once in a while. So you hit something, you're gonna be here for a while. Better break out the cell phone and hope you get a signal. But look at this road. That's why you come out here. And then out here is colder. Because look around. Dirt, grass, trees. There's no concrete. So there's nothing to store any radiational heat. Everything's gone. It's cold. Even in the summer when we come out here, it's cooler out here than in town. So you've got to dress appropriately. Dress for your region. Go outside, walk around, test your kit. That's why you don't see anybody out today. There aren't that many riders out. I know the group's not riding. They definitely did not ride. The diehards like us, I know probably Mo Road, maybe Jerry. But you know, if you don't want to get out, that's okay. Break the trainer out, put your bike on it, stay consistent. But if you want to venture out, then get the right equipment. Quit saying the weather's bad. The weather's not bad. The weather may be challenging. You know, 40 Celsius weather, which is like 100 plus degrees, that's challenging too. So you break out the lightweight stuff, you put some sunblock on, whatever. That's my point. Prepare for any kind of situation you're in. Don't blame the weather. When you're going outside, it's raining, grab a coat or an umbrella. People here in our area don't even dress up properly to go into the stores. They depend on the fact that they're in a car. Like if that car broke down, they'd probably freeze. Because they don't, unlike the people up north in the US that carry blankets, and they might have like a portable heater or flares and that kind of stuff. They have stuff in the back of their cars because they respect winter travel. Not here in our area, because our roads are always clear. So people will go out and it'll be 35 degree Fahrenheit in shorts. This morning when we're leaving, you see how we're dressed? There was a lady in t-shirts and shorts outside the neighborhood picking up garbage. They have people that walk around the neighborhood and they have these little poles and they walk by picking up garbage, you know, litter that people throw out. But at 37 degrees Fahrenheit, you're wearing t-shirts and shorts, and she looked like she was in her 60s. And I'm like, man, she's really looking for a case of pneumonia. They just don't respect the weather. Obviously, she wasn't going to stay out there very long, because I don't give a crap who you are. Cold is cold. And it doesn't mean that you're tough. You're just stupid or ignorant. whatever word you want to use. That's what it means. So if you see somebody riding in cold weather, no shorts on, and it's cold, they're not tough. They're dumb. Because that's arthritis going to set in later. They're going to have problems. Your knee needs to be protected. That's why these vendors, when they make the serious winter tights, the knee area has more protection because the knee does not have a lot of tissue. Anything close to your core, they really protect it so that you're not wasting energy to keep your core temperature optimal. So don't fall for that thing and think you're tough because you're out there dressed inappropriately. That's why you don't see me wearing too many knee warmers. If it's cold, I'm going to cover my entire leg. I've got a couple of knee warmers, but I got a bunch of tights and a bunch of leg warmers. Because if below 50, which is 10 Celsius, I'm wearing a leg warmer. If it's going to get into the 60s, yeah, I may break out the knee warmer, because early in the morning, it might be 45 Fahrenheit or something like that. I've got nothing to prove. I want to be comfortable so I can focus on enjoying my ride, not shivering on the bike. So don't be scared because, oh, it's too cold or whatever. No, if you live in an area where, like here, the roads are open, they're clear most of all year. Every now and then we might get a freeze, but that's rare. So if you live in an area where the temperature varies or it gets cold but the road is accessible and you want to venture out, then you need to do your homework and find the right pieces of kit. That's on you. No excuses. The entire ride, my goal was to keep my cadence up. I'm in the small chain ring where I'm in similar ratios. I am probably in a 65 to 70 inch gear, like a 39-16 something like that. So whether you're on small or big is not that significant. What matters is the ratio you're riding in. This road is like a chip seal, which makes it kind of tough, but we put our heads down. It makes us work because I want to get off of it as soon as possible. But I still want to keep the effort near. You can see I'm above zone 2, almost going to zone 3. So I'm trying to keep the effort 1 to 2. That's what matters. It's not how fast you go, how hard you're working. You can't control how fast the speed is for the effort. The conditions gives you that. And you need to be comfortable on your bike to ride for a long time. I was watching one of the ASOS videos. They sponsor the team Shubeka, the Ubuntu, the charity that they support. There's a charity that gives bikes to cyclists in Africa, which changes their lives because it's not just about recreation. A bicycle is a means of transportation for people to get around. And so it's a big deal. And this Chubeka team, the World Tour team, had a video where they were saying that the mechanic said that when they went to Milan-San Remo, all the riders' focus was how comfortable the bike would feel, whatever bike they were going to ride. They were focused on their comfort. Because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to be riding long. So even the professionals focus on comfort. Remember that. That was good to see and hear, which is, I kind of already knew, but it was good to see that reinforced. That all the guys wanted to make sure that whatever bikes that were being set up for them was going to be comfortable. They were concerned about the tire pressures being used, because your tire pressure is impacted, the front and the rear, based on how much braking you usually do, all of that over the course of a long race. I'm sure they're riding tubulars or whatever they're riding, but all of that, the mechanic was talking about that. So depending on the style of riding of a rider, they were focusing on, okay, we're going to put more pressure in his rear tire versus his front and so forth. So it was just good to see. Those are the kind of videos I like to watch. They're very technical and there's very little entertainment value. So it's nice to see a cycling team that is, giving away bicycles. The team Chubeka Next Hash. They're sponsored by ASOS. And I just stumbled upon that video because I was investigating the gloves that I did the video on, just to learn more about it. That's how I came across it. So we need more cycling teams that will take a foundation under his wing, or affiliate themselves with a good cause. That was nice to know. So at no time on this road did we experience any discomfort. But we did have to stop more frequently for health breaks because of the weather, of course. And sometimes if you dress a little lighter and you don't have enough perspiration in these kind of temperatures, you have to stop more frequently because your body behaves differently in the cold than in the rain. I made a video about why we pee more in the cold. It's on the channel somewhere for those of you who might be interested. It's like, why do we pee more when it's cold? It's a video I made in 2018, January. So it's science, basically. Your body is not processing fluids the same way. You're not perspiring as much, so you need to use the restroom more. And especially when you're stopped, that's when it hits you. A lot of times when you're riding, you don't get the urge until you stop. But we try not to hold it too long. You don't want your bladder full. So, you need to stop as soon as possible after you get the urge. So we got the wind, we got the surface of the road, and the undulations. So Paul goes to the front.
That's the Dacus, my brother.
It's a day of days. I love that phrase from Riddick. The Chronicles of Riddick. So when Paul comes to the front, I get a chance to take a break because I can get into the pocket that he creates and not have to pedal as actively as I do when I'm at the front. So right now, I don't think I'm even pedaling. Yeah, you see the RPMs all over the place. We're approaching the city of Dacus, Texas.
Oh man!
I'm looking at that wheel.
Wow!
It's straight. It blew me away because I just did a little touch through. Just touched through the two spokes, eyeballed it, and for it to be as straight as it was, I was just very blown away. Didn't spend an insignificant amount of time on it, maybe a minute. That was it, if that.
Looks better without that spoke.
I'm telling you, I said, if the riding bit looks stronger without the spoke, maybe you don't need the spoke. Oh, man. I'm not even pedaling. I think we're going downhill. Oh, now I'm pedaling. We're going downhill, so I'm just using the pocket here. That's why I went to the side earlier, so I wouldn't have to brake. Gives me a chance to catch my breath, drink, reach for a gel, whatever. That's the nice thing about having a riding partner, especially someone who keeps the pace steady. So he's doing similar effort to what I was doing. So he gets to the front. My effort drops because now I'm in the draft. So instead of me being in zone 2, I'm in zone 1. And it's going to vary depending on who you're riding with and how hard they're riding, but it doesn't really matter. You're still going to get a break when you get behind. So I'm probably reaching for a gel or something. Not really actively drafting. Gives you a chance to take a bit of a break. We're right outside of Dacus. The shoulder is wider, so we use it. Well, we have a shoulder because we didn't have one.
We're arriving into Dacus, Texas.
That store on the left there is where the guys stop when they come up here. From the opposite direction, drivers have been running off the road and hitting the building. So they put those barriers up that you see in front of those convenience stores where they fill the concrete, a metal pole with concrete. They've got a bunch of that on the street side to keep people from running into the building. Because that's a tricky little S-curve. They don't want to slow down. So this is Johnson Road that we just turned on.
Rolling.
So yeah, it is as cold as it looks. Now it says 9C. Please, it's like 4 or 5. It feels like 4 or 5. But we're comfortable. Those are winter tights, the protein tights with pad. They're very warm. I've had to, I have to return one of my tights with pads because after 9 months of use, the stitching started unraveling on the leg. I contacted Rafa and they sent me an address to send it to, I believe it's in Colorado. They have changed their process a little bit. You take a picture online, upload it, then they decide if it can be repaired. It's somewhere in Boulder. It's called Bear Boulder. Actually, Lafayette, Colorado is where they're doing the repairs now. It says Bear Boulder 409 South Public Road. I don't know who Bear Boulder is. Maybe that's the name of the vendor they're dealing with. But you have to ship your products. You have to pay for the cost. Used to be they covered the cost. So I'm gonna have to ship it to get the tights repaired. So they've determined that they're gonna repair it. Sometimes if they can't repair it, they will give you a substantial discount on a replacement. Depending on the age of the garment, I'm sure. But no one else offers anything close, so I can't argue with that. So I will be shipping it this week to get it repaired. It's only like 9 months old, I think. I got it in March, I think. So another reason I like to ride when it's cold, wet, cloudy, because no one else wants to get out and there are no cars on the road. I mean, we have probably 10% of the traffic that we normally encounter on this ride. It's nothing. We could stop anywhere we wanted. There were no cars. I'm glad he turned the camera around. For hours, we're just riding. Every now and then we had a dog, like the one back there chasing us. We had another guy on Bailey Grove chasing us, 2 dogs. But this is the kind of riding I like to do. I hate when we get back in town and you're dealing with traffic. It just slows you down. So we took the quickest way out of town today. That's why we used the bike path. Look at those guys. They're like they're talking to the horses. I asked them if they're talking to the horses. They looked at me. This is farm country. They looked like they were socializing with the horses. The road goes up here. We feel it. It says 2%. It's a little more. It's going to go up from now until we get to 1097. It's going up. So I have my hands on the tops because we're going to be climbing for the next probably 10 kilometers, I would say. Yeah, I think 8 to 10 kilometers, it goes up. So you just find a rhythm. Don't be shy to use your mechanical advantage. Select the proper ratio for the effort you want to maintain. It's creeping up towards sweet spot. So you don't need to ride 7 hours on Saturday. If you got only an hour or 2, then you just kind of up the intensity a bit based on what your goals are to maximize your time. So this entire time we've been climbing, and we're gonna keep climbing. You look at the road, this is going up, and it's quiet, it's beautiful out here. This road does tend to have a little more traffic normally, but today you know, nobody wanted to get out of the house. So we got it all to ourselves. Got a car. We had a car now and then from time to time. Look, you can see where the rain has passed here already. This is all wet here. So when the road is damp like this, you want to take your corners wider, slower, keep your bike upright. Because this kind of dampness, all it does is stirs up and it makes a mess. That's what gets you dirty too, if you don't have mud guards. It makes enough of a mess that makes the road slippery. It's the heavy rains that really wash the road and make it safer when it's wet. The light stuff, you got to really give it some respect because it's slippery. Because all it does is mixes with the film and the grit and the dust and grime on the road and gets a little film on the pavement, which makes you slip and slide. To keep the effort the same, that's all I'm doing. I probably downshifted because the road is kicking up. Let's see what it says here. It still says 2. I know it's about 3 or 4%. It's gonna go up because we're still going up. There we go. That's why I like to come out here. They got some nice long climbs, so you can climb for about 3 to 4 miles, which is good. I mean, look in the distance. So it kicks back up here. Get back into the rhythm. They had very high percentages of rain, like 80, 90% or so, but they should have just said percentages of drizzle. You know? So the wind and the moisture makes it feel colder than what's displayed on the screen. And because that rain jacket is so breathable, all I did was I would unzip the bottom at times or unzip the top. You can see a little bit of air is getting in there. It's almost like you need that to regulate your temperature. I keep the gears low. I keep my cadence reasonable because around that corner is going to kick up. right here. It kicks up. I think it gets to like 5%. And don't let the grade get you all excited. You still have to focus on staying in the same zone. Keep the effort the same. Your high river climb, but physically you can tell. There's a car up there on our side of the road that has stopped in our lane facing our direction, and somebody gets out of the car and kicks something off the road. I don't know what was on the road that they had to get off that much. The passenger did that, so now he's moved over. So I'm not sure whether it was roadkill or whatever, but they kicked something into the bush. The road is quiet enough to do that, but you know, couldn't figure out what was going on. I was just wondering. We saw him from a distance off. We're approaching 1097. So I don't know about you, but I hope you got a chance to get your K's in this Saturday, because this is part of what we did on Saturday. As we turn left here, this guy was going to cut the corner. He saw us, so he slowed down. They're always cutting the corners. So we turn here on 1097, and then we're going to turn on Bayleaf Grove, which will take us to 149. So no matter what, make sure you get your K's in.